simply saying this politician is lying. And in this case, the Mail on Sunday is saying that Angela Rayner is lying.
That could bankrupt the country. You know, if it was desperation stakes, so okay, well, you probably need it or whatever. It's not, it's to give it away.
In her own tweets, the proof, Angela Rayner has been lying.
Estate, we're delivering for working people by banning no-fault evictions and introducing groundbreaking protections for renters, which they promised and didn't deliver.
Angela Rayner, the fiery deputy leader of the Labour Party, has just suffered a devastating political and personal defeat that sent shockwaves through the nation. In a courtroom heavy with tension and blinding camera flashes, the Chief Justice delivered the final, chilling words. Her appeal was denied. What happened next left everyone stunned. Rayner, usually fierce, composed, and unshakable, broke down in tears before she could even step outside. A woman who had survived political warfare, relentless media attacks, and betrayal within her own party had finally reached breaking point in the cameras caught every second. This case had been a slow-burning political storm for months. The media circled it like vultures, allegations whispered in corridors, vague accusations, and innuendo dripping through
It used to be when you spoke about politicians, you'd be like, you know, have they been economical with the truth? Have they misrepresented themselves? Have they perhaps been a bit dishonest?
It began as a simple financial misconduct claim tied to her property holdings, but it didn't stay simple for long. Within weeks, exploded into a far-reaching investigation, digging into her financial disclosures, probing her eligibility to hold office, and even accusing her of deliberately misleading Parliament. What started as a single crack in her political armor had turned into a full-blown breach. One, investigators, rivals, and the press were all too eager to tear wide open.
She was registered on the electoral roll of that address. It meant that she didn't have to pay capital gains tax on that property.
And the voices, don't they?
Despite years of voice coaching.
Yeah, if nothing else, we should get rid of them because of their voices. I think they've been coached into speaking like that.
Rayner denied everything, framing the case as nothing more than a political hit job, a calculated attempt to silence one of the establishment's loudest and most dangerous critics. But the legal machinery doesn't bend for slogans. It kept grinding forward, cold and relentless. When the initial ruling went against her 3 weeks ago, Rayner didn't flinch, at least not in public. She immediately filed an appeal, her last and best shot at clearing her name before the whispers turned into a full-blown scandal. Standing outside the court that day, fists clenched, eyes blazing, she called it a matter of principle. Cameras flashed as her voice rang out, defiant, unshaken, and certain that justice was on her side.
In her own tweets, the proof, Angela Rayner has been lying.
I don't recognise, to be honest, and it's tittle tattle. So I don't recognise what was said in that book.
But today, that fire flickered out. Courtroom insiders described a somber, almost suffocating atmosphere. The public gallery was packed, reporters, aides, and even a few familiar faces from rival parties, all sitting in heavy silence. Everyone knew the stakes. If the appeal was denied, Rayner could face formal censure, suspension, or even expulsion from office pending further proceedings. The Chief Justice didn't waste words, no dramatic pauses, no theatrics, just a cold, measured statement. Appeal denied.
Odd that the Labour Party won't reveal who paid for the voice.
Yeah, they won't reveal who paid for it either.
It's funny that, isn't
also,
it? Maybe no one paid.
Have you noticed also in terms of what people...
And we're also delivering the largest single package of devolution pushing power out of Westminster. We're delivering where...
The silence was deafening. Rayner's face froze for a few seconds. She didn't move. Then, without a word, she stood, turned toward the exit, and broke. Witnesses described her legs buckling slightly as aides rushed to steady her. Eyes red, tears streaming, she shook her head again and again, as if trying to reject the reality that had just crushed her. She's never looked more human or more alone. One source close to her said, the ruling didn't just uphold the previous judgment, it cleared the way for Parliament's Ethics Committee to begin formal disciplinary proceedings. That means Angela Rayner's political career is now hanging by a single thread, and everyone knows it. Within minutes, the media frenzy ignited. Headlines exploded across screens and front pages. Rayner's for years as deputy leader, justice denied, justice served.
Simply saying this politician is lying. And in this case, the Mail on Sunday is saying that Angela Rayner is lying.
Yeah, translation of that is, I did say it, and I'm not going to actually deny saying this. The smart thing for her to do.
Newsrooms scrambled to gather statements from party officials, legal analysts, and political rivals. Prime Minister Keir Starmer issued a carefully worded message, stressing his respect for the legal process, but offering not a single word of personal support. It was the most damning silence of all.
Ever saying that to anybody, but we all have frustrations when we're at work sometimes, and I'm sure people have been frustrated with
Behind
me at
closed
work
doors.
sometimes.
Labour Party insiders are reportedly in full-blown panic mode for years. Rayner has been the party's anchor to its working-class roots, a fiery counterweight to the polished centrism of its leadership. Losing her, whether by resignation or removal, wouldn't just wound Labour's image, it could shatter its base and leave a gaping, ideological vacuum. And it's all happening on the eve of a critical election cycle.
This means that Ms Rayner potentially faces a criminal conviction and a fine for a false declaration on the electoral roll. And under tax rules...
that could bankrupt the country. You know, if it was desperation stakes, so okay, well, you probably need it or whatever. It's not, it's to give it away.
But for now, it's Rayner's personal reckoning that has seized the nation's gaze. Supporters flooded social media with messages of solidarity. Critics, meanwhile, pounced, some with barely disguised glee, questioning whether her breakdown was genuine or calculated. The tribalism of British politics has rarely felt this raw. Yet beneath the noise, one truth remains unshaken. This is a historic moment. A senior British politician, one of the most visible women in Parliament, has been publicly, visibly broken by a legal ruling that could end her career.
The obvious thing would be to say, no, I absolutely didn't say it. I'll tell you why she's not denying it, is because she fears she might have been recorded.
Yep.
State, we're delivering for working people by banning no-fault evictions and introducing groundbreaking protections for renters, which they promised and didn't deliver.
This isn't just a PR disaster, it's a collapse of narrative, power, and persona. Legal experts say the next move lies with Parliament. The Ethics Committee is under mounting pressure to act swiftly, but Rayner's legal team is reportedly preparing new strategies to stall or redirect the process. Some insiders believe she may choose to resign, preemptively to seize back control of the narrative. Others say she fight it out to the bitter end.
It's not tittle test. Well, that's what the woman who's now the Deputy Prime Minister is reported to have said about the now Prime Minister.
Sure, and there was lots of other things that people have said.
So let's just call it what it is. A political earthquake. One that's shaken the Labour Party to its core. And it's nowhere near over.
So let's just accept their premise that they don't have much money, and that's a difficult pitch to bat on if you're a government. Okay.
The verdict may be legal, but the fallout is raw, emotional, and undeniably political. Now the clock is ticking. Will Labour stand by her? Will Parliament move swiftly, or will this storm drag on, ripping deeper into an already fractured system? For Angela Rayner, the tears may have been real, but in politics there's no pause for grief, only consequences.